today's episode, we're going to build on that foundation and we're going to go through the 8 guiding principles that'll help you bring back the patients who already know you, like you, and trust you. So let's start with missed visits. They're costing you thousands. Every missed visit is a missed moment to influence and guide somebody's health. That's why we have a recall and reactivation system. If we go back and look at different studies, even from Harvard Business Review, increasing customer loyalty or customer retention by just 5% massively increases profits by as much as 25%. When somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you, the cost to serve them drops significantly. They don't need more onboarding, more education, more convincing. And when they continue under care, they often end up referring others and bringing their family in. And their follow through into lifelong chiropractic care is what gets best results for them and for your practices. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast, the podcast where I have the pleasure of simplifying the marketing and the mindset so you, the chiropractor, can increase your income, your impact, and your enjoyment in practice too. Now, today we're diving into part 2 of the Reactivation Blueprint. How do we go about bringing back our best patients using a framework that's grounded in culture, in care, and clarity? These 8 principles will help you shift your recalls and your reactivations from feeling like sometimes this pushy marketing to what they really are, which is acts of service. Now, before we dive into this, let's zoom out a little bit. Let's revisit the bigger picture to get some context in this that frames this entire conversation. Let's go back to the 7-figure practice lifestyle triangle. Okay, this is the model that I use and I teach to help chiropractors build high income, high enjoyment practice. And it addresses the 3 core problems that we have in practice. And the first one is nobody knows us. This is a visibility problem, okay? The second problem we've got to solve here is nobody stays. This is a trust issue. And the third one is no time. This is a leadership issue, okay? Now, what we want instead is quality new patients every week. We want loyal long-term advocates, and we want a self-managing, freedom-driven practice, okay? Now, this current series is tackling the first of those problems, nobody knows us, the visibility issue. And today is the second step in solving that. We're going to be going through the Reactivation Blueprint, okay? Now, past episodes, if you've missed those, we talked about the standout strategy. This is how do we answer the question, most patients when they're coming to see us are going to go past dozens of other chiropractors and certainly other health practitioners. Why should they choose you over somebody else? Once we've decided who we're for, the next thing that we need is a broadcast engine, okay? And here I introduced you to 3 types of media: bought media, borrowed media, and owned media, and how we need to make sure that we're involved in all of this as well. But now, in today's episode, we're going to build on that foundation and we're going to go through the 8 guiding principles that'll help you bring back the patients who already know you, like you, and trust you, okay? So let's start with missed visits. They're costing you thousands. Now, I know it's obvious, but missed visits, poor management, and a lack of follow-up cost you far more than what you think. If you actually went back and calculated it, you'd be horrified. If every patient who came to see you was still under care today, your practice would be beyond full to capacity. You'd have more associates than you'd know what to deal with. And it's unreasonable to expect that every patient is going to stay with you, but we can do a lot of things to stop patients from falling through the crack. Now, this is not just about money, though. It's the missed opportunities to help our practice members, okay? Remember, every missed visit is a missed moment to influence and guide somebody's health. That's why we have a recall and reactivation system, and that's why it's absolutely non-negotiable. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, okay? If we go back and look at different studies, even from Harvard Business Review, increasing customer loyalty or customer retention by just 5% massively increases profits by as much as 25%. So instead of having to go right back and start again with all the costs of a new client, if we can just get the ones that are already coming to see us to continue to see us, the bottom line is what really benefits, okay? When somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you, the cost to serve them drops significantly. They don't need more onboarding, more education, more convincing. And when they continue under care, they often end up referring others and bringing their family in. And their follow through into lifelong chiropractic care is what gets best results for them and for your practice as well. So in practical terms, if your average patient is worth $1,000, and they should be worth this at least if they're if we're a wellness, subluxation, vitalistic type of practice, and you can just retain 5 more patients each month, and without having to constantly replace them as well, that's an extra $5,000 per month. That's $60,000 a year, and that starts to just add on year after year after year. This is additional revenue, okay? And you didn't need to run a single ad or put on an additional Facebook post or go and meet new people to get any of these results, okay? So we have to first of all understand principle number 1 is that missed visits are costing you and the health of your clients enormously. The second is all about culture. Reactivation begins with values. It's a culture conversation, okay? Successful recall and reactivations is not marketing. It's a culture thing. So do you have a practice where follow-up is seen as caring, or is it seen as nagging? Now, I've had CAs in the past that have really not wanted to do recalls and reactivations. And again, as you're going to see later on as we go into this, that us as chiropractors should be doing it also. And they don't want to do it because it feels like they are nagging, okay? Mindset matters here as well. I introduced you last week. I told you the story about Janice, a client of mine, and I'm going to reshare it with you again. She was one of my long-term loyal advocates, had been a fortnightly patient of mine for 4 to 6 years beforehand. Missed an adjustment, missed a second adjustment, missed a third. Now, I wrongly assumed that my front desk had caught up with Janice. I also perhaps thought maybe she traveled a lot as well. Now, when she finally ended up back in the practice after a couple of months, she said something to me that changed my whole mind about all of this. She said, Angus, I really thought that somebody from the practice would have called me to check to see how I was. We have this family environment. We're committed in a partnership with it. And whilst we're not responsible for their health, but we are in partnership for them, I really saw with Janice there the role that recalls and reactivations are. They're about checking in with our practice members and saying, we care, you matter, you missed your appointment, let's get you back on track as well. So when your team believes that follow-up is a form of service, your patients will feel that too. It's not about getting them back in, it's about reminding them of why they came in the first place. And this is also a side note here. It's important that in our initial consultation and our report of findings, we're not forcing people into care, okay? Later on, as we're working our way around the 7-figure lifestyle practice, okay, the triangle through the two, we'll talk about the initial consultation, the report of findings where somebody makes a choice. And if they're saying that they want, corrective, subluxation-based, nerve system first, they want the whole enchilada, then I'm going to give them and do everything I possibly can to help them get there. And that means following them up when they missed visits, okay? So I want you to encourage on this. So you need to really check in. What story are you telling yourself when a patient misses? Are you making it about you? Are you making it that they don't value you? They don't like chiropractic? Maybe they're not happy with the results. Are you genuinely concerned for them? I was chasing up with one of my coaching clients, 3 text messages, hadn't heard anything back from him. And again, I could have made it about me. Does he not want to coach any longer? Is he not happy with the results? But it just turns out that he was having a rough time. There was a lot going on for him at that time. Okay, he was distracted. He wasn't sure how to respond back to my messages. And it was my persistence that just let him know that he mattered. Okay, it didn't feel like I was nagging him. It felt like I was caring. And that's what our reactivations should look like. Now, last week, again, we took the time to make sure that we had a practice that patients actually want to come back to. And so if you haven't listened to that, go back and have a listen to that episode afterwards, okay? So if you are going to make up a story, make it a constructive one, okay? So if someone's not come back, don't make it about you being terrible. Assume they're busy. Assume they've forgotten, assume they've got distracted, and assume that follow-up is the very best thing. It's what they're wanting. They want to be cared for. The truth is, if you care, they'll feel it as well. And again, this is something that's backed up by research as well, studies in communication psychology. So things like tone and intent and the emotional subtext, these are really quickly and often unconsciously picked up by others. So why are you making the recall? Again, if it's just to get them back in the book, that subtext is going to come through in the conversation there too. But if it's not, if it's to get them back under the care so they can get the health that they deserve and reach the goals that they want to have, that comes through as well. Patients will sense why you're calling them. Is it out of genuine concern or is it just trying to grow your revenue? These things really, really matter, okay? In fact, the research has found that empathetic communication builds trust and compliance way more effectively than transactional messaging. We'll get into this a little bit later on when we talk about systemized versus automation. So when you reach out with a mindset of support and service, it doesn't just feel better, it actually works better. So these are not just, I spent a lot of time here on the podcast talking about the power of trust. I spent a lot of time on here saying whilst there's a role for scripts and what we say and how we go about it, it's more important why we're saying it and the intent underneath it than the words that are coming across there too. And this is why we need to come together as a team and say, why are we doing recalls and reactivations in the first place? Okay, this is what it's about. So principle number 3 here, your job is to help them do what they don't want to do in order to get the results they want to get, okay? So one of the questions that you should be asking them in the report of findings and in the initial consultation is some version of, how healthy do you want to get? You know, is this just a matter of getting out of pain, or do you want to rebuild your nervous system? Do you want to go somewhere with your health that you've never been before? Okay. Now, as chiropractors, our job is to lovingly support and keep our patients aligned with the goals they set. Okay. So we're going to have a conversation. I'll share some of the structure with that as we go forwards. This means accountability. Okay. We are coaches, and I'm totally okay with that, being a coach and helping somebody to do the things they don't necessarily want to do so they can get the results they want to get. Now, on to point number 4 here. The recall system really starts on visit number 2 with some really very specific agreements that we start to make there as well. And this is something I teach all of my clients. Now, when we clearly outline our expectations around missed visits, we do it kindly but firmly. We're setting the tone for future follow-up. Now, here's the kind of exact script that I would teach my staff. Again, so if I've got a checkout here from the report of findings, we've made their schedule there, and then one of our CAs is going to say something very similar to this. John, if you're unable to make an appointment, can you please give us a call 24 hours prior so that we can reschedule? And then you wait for the answer. So we wait for John to say yes, okay? And then we will follow up with this. If we don't hear from you, I'm going to give you a call just to check in if everything is all right. Is that okay? And again, we're going to wait for an answer there too. I also want to let you know that there's a $25 missed appointment fee for any late changes or no-shows. Anything less than 24 hours. Is that all right for you? Again, wait for an answer. So we've got 3 yeses we've gone through here. So we've let our clients know that when a missed appointment, we're going to give them a call. We're going to assume, again, if you haven't gone here, that maybe everything is not okay. And again, we've also started to introduce at this stage here a missed appointment fee. These small steps here build trust, they create clarity, and they eliminate surprises down the track. And this is also really supported by science. In his book, Influence, Robert Cialdini here talks about the principle of commitment and consistency. When someone makes a public or verbal commitment, they're far more likely to follow through. So when a patient agrees to this conversation, this script, they're not just nodding, but they're actually saying yes. They're wiring themselves to keep that commitment, okay? And when you follow up after that missed visit, you're not bothering them, okay? You're helping them to honor what they said was important to them, okay? Principle number 5 here, and most chiropractors don't like hearing this one, and that is recalls and reactivations is not just the CA's job, okay? Too many practices dump all of the responsibility for follow-up on the front desk, but your patients, they have a relationship with you, with us as well. And that's why I always recommend that after 2 CA attempts to follow up a missed visit, this list gets passed directly onto the DC. And then the DC follows up with a simple text message or a call. And doing this goes a long way to getting people under care very quickly, okay? Now, why does this work so well? Again, the social science principles will introduce us to a concept called the white coat effect. And it shows that patients are much more likely to follow the advice and act on it when it comes to the authority figure, okay? Especially the health provider. And in most circumstances, the authority figure in the practice is going to be the chiropractor, although there are several CAs that have tremendous personal power that can do all of this, okay? But as a general rule, our voice as the chiropractors has more weight than probably what you realize as well. So just a quick message from you is going to help to nudge them. Now, this also means that we don't let it go, that when a practice member comes in after missing a visit there too and they jump on the table, we might want to just acknowledge it. John, we missed you on Monday. I wanted to check, was everything okay? Oh yeah, I got kind of really caught up at work and this and that was going on. Again, happens with a lot of our patients. Important in this first 12 weeks that we really stick with our twice a week. Each time we miss an adjustment through here, it can set us back as much as a week. And that's going to cost you time in terms of getting back to the gym and then getting back to the golf course and us really dealing with these headaches. So we want to acknowledge it. Too often I hear chiropractors just, somebody says, I'm sorry for missing Monday's appointment. And the chiropractor says, no worries. It's nice that you're here. Now, again, we don't need to come down like the angry school teacher. We don't need to come down like their parent, but we want to acknowledge and remind them of what their commitment was, okay? So principle number 5 here is that this is not just the CA's job. Us as the chiropractors need to be involved in this as well. I was forever, way I used to go about this mostly was just to send text messages, make them as personal. We'll talk about this in a moment there too, but lots of text messages. I found as the years went on in practice that lots of my patients just didn't answer phone calls. We're busy. We get that many telemarketing calls nowadays there too, that if they don't know that it's your number, they're not likely to answer it. Now, principle number 6 here is systematize, don't automate. Now, what I want here, automated reminders are helpful. So we want to be sending out pre-adjustment reminders, but they're not enough. The most effective follow-up after missed visits is personal, okay? So this doesn't mean that we need to handwrite a letter or record 300 videos, but it does mean having a system that prioritizes human touch whenever possible, okay? We want that mix of high tech and high touch. Again, you could shoot just a simple video. This is something I would often do. So it's a bit of a wow factor. We would use a bit of software called Loom, but you could just shoot a video and send it as a text there, okay? And again, I want to make it personal, or something that I might just say, hey, John, I missed you on Monday. You popped into my mind. I just want to check in and see if everything is okay. Something simple as that. Or if it's been a little bit longer, it might be just, hey, John, you popped into my mind. I wanted to check in. How have the headaches been? Are you back at golf yet? How are things going with the kids? What's going on with the work at the moment? I guess this time of year, things must be busy for you. I want to have a conversation there that's deeply personal as well. Now, the flip side of this is every year I get a card from my bookkeeper, the company that does that, and it comes on a printed envelope, and the text inside it is printed as well. They probably send it out to I'm sure they send it out to all of their clients. There's nothing about this that is personal. It's completely forgettable. It's a complete waste of the post and the effort and the energy. I'm sure with the post and the card there, it's probably $3 and they're sending it out to hundreds of clients there too. But it builds no brownie points at all. A very short little handwritten letter there as well, just with my name that said, Angus, thanks so much for being a client over the years. We really value you and look forward to looking after you again next year, would be significantly more powerful as well. Okay. So we want to contrast that with a simple message. Hey, John, you popped into my mind this morning. How are you and the kids? Are you back at the gym yet? How have the headaches been? And again, even at this stage here, I might not even be trying to encourage them to come in for an appointment. We're just going step by step. This message is clearly not automated. It feels real. There's a value in that message that's infinitely more powerful than a card that's been printed, a bulk text, or a generic email. Now, does it take more work? Yes, it does. But remember, at the back end, if I don't have patients falling out, I don't have to be doing a whole bunch of marketing. And I'm looking after people that already know me, like me, and trust me. This is not only good for them and their health, it makes great sense for my business. And I'm happy to spend 5 or 10 minutes each and every day following up with practice members, okay? When we talk about systematizing following up, we're not talking about removing the human side of it. Whenever possible, add in the human element there too, okay? So number 7, every patient needs to fit into one of 5 categories. Now, I remember once being told, in life, we love yeses, we can deal with no's, but we need to get rid of all of the maybes, okay? And so we categorize our patients into 5 different categories, okay? So what we want, is we want active patients. These are patients that have an appointment that's already booked in. Now, when somebody misses an appointment there too, they go onto a list called a recall list for the CAs. Our CAs will try to call them twice. If they cannot get onto them, then they go onto a list called a recall for DCs, okay? Then I will try twice to get onto them, and if I can't get onto them and if they haven't been back in for an appointment at this stage through here, they go onto an archive list, okay? Now, the archive list here, these are people here that we haven't been able to get onto for whatever reason, or they might have got onto them and they might say something like, Angus, I'm thrilled with the results. Yeah, my headaches are gone. I'm back in the golf course and I'm happy at the moment. Okay. So sometimes it takes several rounds through for somebody to get the bigness of chiropractic. And the 5th category there are deleted patients. These are people that you no longer want to care for. They're no longer a match in terms of values. They might have moved town. These are people that you don't want to reach out onto. So again, those 5 buckets there, active, we want this to be our biggest one. Then there's people that are on the recall list for the CAs. They're chasing up with those people twice. Then there's a recall for DCs. Again, I will chase up twice if I don't hear from them. Then they go onto the archive list. And again, the archive list here, there's tremendous value in that because we can do email reactivations to these people. We can send newsletters to them. There's these other things that we can do to recall these people. But anything outside of this is just chaos. We want clear data because that gives us clear action. We want to get rid of these inactive patients which are in nowhere land. Remember, yeses are what we want, nos we can deal with, okay? It's the maybes that take up a lot of energy as well. All right, so let's go on to point number 8 here, which is the final principle really of a really effective recall and reactivation. And this is really what I was talking about before, is that inactive patients poison profit and peace, okay? These are the patients that you're not sure about. Are they coming back? Have they gone elsewhere? Are they waiting for something? And every time that you glance at the name in the system, it steals a little bit of your energy. It robs your attention and it robs you of clarity as well. The truth is, every patient on your inactive list is energy that you're still holding on to. You're wondering what's going on with them, okay? It's fine to get a no from them, okay? It can take several runs through before somebody gets the big... And I used to have this mantra that said, when somebody started care with me, they were going to be a patient for life, but sometimes they were going to be inactive. It's taken me in my life with my exercise, my eating habits, my saving habits, lots of times of trial and error and failure, okay? So I don't expect chiropractic patients to get it on the first go. But we've got to clean up these mental loops there, okay? Because the mental load adds up. So we want to clarify our status. So really reinforcing back into, get rid of those inactive clients there. We either put them in the deleted list or in the archive list, or hopefully we contact them and they get back on the active list as well. So let's wrap all of this up, okay? These 8 principles aren't just a framework for better reactivation. They're the foundation for a practice that feels in integrity with who you are and what you have to offer. Now, in next week's episode, we're going to start to transition into the next side of the 7-figure lifestyle practice triangle. We're going to tackle the second problem of no one stays. This is a trust issue. So we'll begin talking through the new patient visit, the report of findings, and of course the adjustment visit as well. We'll go step by step. Now, in the meantime, what I want you to do is start to clean up that inactive list. I want you to have a team meeting with your staff and look at your headspace. How are you guys feeling about your bring-ups? Is this some form of nagging that you do, or are you reaching out with kindness? Is this the way that you help to hold people accountable to the goals that they've set, okay? They're waiting for you, and they're waiting for that little nudge of support. As always, thank you for all that you do. Keep saving lives. I'll see you back here next week. Bye. If you've enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out my Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work with you to help you apply it, implement it, and systemize it. The Community Influencer Group Coaching Program is designed to help you increase your practice income, impact, and enjoyment. Join me over at anguspyke.com/join. That's anguspyke.com/join. I'd love to see you there.